Serena stood by the window in her bridal suite, gazing out at the city lights below. Tomorrow, she would marry Alex, the man who had been her rock, her love. But tonight, doubt and restlessness churned within her like a storm. "You seem distracted, Serena," Marcus remarked casually, sprawled on the suite's couch with a glass of whiskey in hand. Serena turned to face him, her hands fidgeting with the edge of her veil. "I guess I'm just nervous. It's all happening so fast." Brian, leaning against the doorway with a knowing smile, chimed in, "It's normal to have pre-wedding jitters. But hey, you've got us here to keep you company, to help you relax." Marcus nodded, a mischievous glint in his eyes. "Exactly. Tonight's your last chance to have a bit of fun before tying the knot. Why waste it worrying?" Serena chewed on her lower lip, uncertainty clouding her features. "I know, but Alex means everything to me. I don't want to mess things up." Brian stepped closer, his voice low and persuasive. "You won't mess anything up, Serena. We just want you to enjoy yourself. Tonight is about you." Marcus set his glass down and approached her, his tone reassuring yet compelling. "Come on, Serena. Let's make some memories. Forget about the stress and let loose. You deserve it." Serena hesitated, torn between her love for Alex and the tantalizing freedom Marcus and Brian promised. "I don't know." Brian gently took her hand, his touch electric against her skin. "Trust us, Serena. We're your friends. We just want to see you happy." Marcus flashed her a charming smile. "Let's go somewhere, just the three of us, a little adventure before the big day." Serena glanced at the bed where her wedding dress lay waiting, a symbol of promises yet to be made. She took a deep breath, her decision made in a heartbeat of weakness and desire for escape. "Okay, let's go." The night unfolded with reckless abandon, the neon lights of the motel casting shadows on the walls as Serena, Marcus, and Brian indulged in the thrill of secrecy and forbidden pleasure. Laughter mingled with whispered promises, each moment pushing Serena further away from the life she had envisioned with Alex. Hours later, as Serena lay beside Marcus and Brian, the weight of her betrayal settled upon her like a heavy cloak. She stared at the ceiling, the guilt and regret seeping into her bones as the reality of her actions sank in. The neon glow of the motel sign flickered, casting an eerie light on Serena, Marcus, and Brian as they sat in a dimly lit room. The air thick with tension and anticipation. Serena's heart pounded with a mix of guilt and exhilaration. Nervously, she ran her fingers through her tousled hair. "I can't believe we're doing this." Marcus leaned back against the headboard, a playful grin on his face. "Why not? You said yourself it's your last chance to have a little fun." Brian poured himself a drink, his voice smooth and reassuring. "Relax, Serena. We're just here to make sure you have a good time." Serena shifted uncomfortably on the edge of the bed, the reality of her betrayal beginning to sink in. "But what about Alex? What if he finds out?" Marcus chuckled, setting his glass aside and moving closer to her. "He won't find out. This is our little secret, remember?" Brian nodded in agreement, his gaze steady on Serena. "We're here to take care of you tonight. No worries. Just enjoy yourself." Serena hesitated, torn between the thrill of rebellion and the guilt gnawing at her conscience. "I love Alex. I can't do this to him." Marcus reached out gently, placing a hand on her knee. "Hey, Serena, it's okay. We're not asking you to choose, just tonight. Forget about tomorrow and let go." Serena closed her eyes, struggling to silence the voice of reason within her. "Okay, just for tonight." The night unfolded with a blur of laughter, drinks, and whispered confessions as Serena, Marcus, and Brian surrendered to the reckless abandon of the moment. Inhibitions melted away, replaced by a heady mix of desire and adrenaline. Hours later, Serena lay tangled in the sheets, her mind foggy with regret and disbelief. The weight of her actions pressed down on her chest as she stared at the ceiling, the reality of her betrayal crashing over her in waves. Marcus, lounging beside her with a satisfied grin, reached for his phone and snapped a photo of Serena. Her disheveled appearance was a stark contrast to the innocence of her bridal gown, lying discarded on the floor. Serena's eyes widened in horror as she realized what he was doing. "No, Marcus, delete that." Marcus chuckled, ignoring her plea as he typed a quick message and sent the photo to Alex, Serena's fiancé. Serena's heart sank as she watched the message send. Her worst fears realized in an instant. Marcus, how could you? Alex trusted me. Brian sat up, his expression unreadable. It's done, Serena. There's no going back now. The room fell silent, the weight of their actions hanging heavy in the air. Serena buried her face in her hands, tears streaming down her cheeks as shame and remorse consumed her. Marcus stood up, his tone casual yet tinged with satisfaction. Well, that was fun, but I think it's time we leave you to deal with the aftermath. Serena nodded, grabbing his jacket from the chair. Take care of yourself, Serena, and remember this was your choice. With that, Marcus and Brian left the room, leaving Serena alone with the echoes of their betrayal and the devastating photo that would forever alter the course of her life. The morning sun filtered through the curtains, casting a soft glow in Alex's apartment. He sat at the kitchen table, his hands trembling as he stared at his phone, disbelief etched on his face. Serena entered cautiously, her heart sinking at the sight of Alex's tense posture. Alex, what's wrong? Why are you up so early? Alex looked up, his eyes filled with a mixture of pain and fury as he held up his phone, displaying the compromising photo of Serena with Marcus and Brian. This is what's wrong. Serena, how could you? Serena's breath caught in her throat, her mind racing as she struggled to find words. Alex, I can explain. Alex slammed his phone down on the table, his voice shaking with anger. Explain. Explain what? Serena, how you could betray me like this, just hours before our wedding. Tears welled up in Serena's eyes, her hands trembling as she approached him. Alex, please, it was a mistake. I was confused, scared. Alex stood abruptly, his chair scraping against the floor as he paced the room. Confused, scared? Is that supposed to justify what you did? You threw everything away, Serena. Everything we had planned. Everything we built together. Serena reached out, her voice desperate. Alex, I love you. Please don't let this ruin us. We can work through this. Alex turned to face her, his expression hardened with resolve. Work through this, how, Serena? How can I trust you again? How can I forget this? Serena's shoulders slumped, tears streaming down her cheeks as she struggled to find an answer. I don't know, but please don't give up on us. Alex shook his head, his voice heavy with betrayal. You gave up on us, Serena. You made your choice. The argument echoed through the apartment, emotions raw and wounds fresh, as Alex and Serena confronted the shattered remains of their relationship. Outside, the world continued, unaware of the storm brewing within their lives. Hours later, the news spread like wildfire through their social circle and families. Whispers turned into accusations, sympathy into judgment, as the scandal of Serena's betrayal reached every corner of their lives. At Serena's family home, her parents sat in stunned silence as relatives called with questions and condolences. Their disbelief was mirrored in every strained conversation. Serena's mother, her voice trembling, clutched the phone tightly. How could she do this? How could she hurt Alex like that? Serena's father paced the room, his face etched with worry and disappointment. I don't know, Martha. I just don't know. Meanwhile, at Alex's apartment, his phone buzzed incessantly with messages of support and disbelief. His best friend, Michael, stood by his side, offering silent solidarity as Alex processed the devastation of Serena's betrayal. Michael sighed heavily, his hand resting on Alex's shoulder. I can't believe she did this, man. You deserve better. Alex nodded, his gaze distant as he stared out the window. I thought she was the one, Michael. Michael squeezed his shoulder gently. Sometimes people change, Alex, he said. Sometimes we don't see who they really are until it's too late. The day passed in a blur of accusations and shattered dreams. The fallout of Serena's betrayal left a trail of broken hearts and fractured trust in its wake. The morning dawned with a heavy silence in Serena and Alex's home. The remnants of shattered dreams and broken trust lingered in the air like a suffocating fog. Serena lay on the living room floor, her hands bound behind her back, her eyes swollen from tears and exhaustion. Alex sat nearby, equally restrained and lost in his thoughts. Serena's mother burst through the front door, her scream of horror echoing through the house as she stumbled upon the scene before her. Serena! Alex! Serena lifted her head weakly, tears streaming down her face as she met her mother's gaze. Mom! Serena's father rushed in behind her mother, his face a mask of disbelief and rage as he saw his daughter and her fiancé tied up and humiliated. What happened? Who did this to you? Alex's parents arrived moments later, their expressions mirroring the shock and anguish etched on Serena's parents' faces. Alex's father knelt beside him, his voice trembling with a mixture of concern and fury. Son, are you okay? Who did this? Alex struggled to sit up, his muscles aching from being bound for hours. Marcus and Brian, they did this, he said. Serena's mother's eyes widened in horror. Marcus and Brian? But why? What did they want? Alex gritted his teeth, his fists clenched in frustration. They wanted to punish us. They wanted to destroy everything. Serena's father paced the room, his fists balled at his sides. How could they do this? And why? Here in your own home. Serena winced, her voice barely above a whisper. They said it didn't matter that we canceled the wedding. They wanted to humiliate us, to make sure everyone knew. Outside, the neighbors gathered in hushed whispers, their curiosity mingled with pity and judgment as they watched police officers and paramedics enter the house. Neighbor 1, shaking her head sadly, said, I can't believe this happened. They seem like such a nice couple. Neighbor 2 murmuring, it's always the ones you least expect. Inside, the police carefully untied Serena and Alex, their faces grim as they surveyed the scene and collected evidence. Paramedics tended to Serena's minor injuries while Alex stood with clenched fists, his jaw tight with anger and shame. Serena's mother hovered anxiously nearby, her hand resting on Serena's shoulder as tears streamed down her face. Oh, Serena, I'm so sorry. Serena reached out weakly, grasping her mother's hand. Mom. Alex's mother approached him cautiously, her eyes filled with a mix of concern and disappointment. Alex, sweetheart, we're here for you. We'll get through this. Alex nodded curtly, his gaze distant as he stared at the floor. His mind raced with thoughts of vengeance and justice. I want them arrested. I want them to pay for what they did. Hours later, as the sun dipped below the horizon, Serena and Alex sat together in silence on their living room couch, wrapped in blankets provided by the police. The weight of the day's events hung heavy between them, their hearts heavy with sorrow and rage. Serena finally broke the silence, her voice barely audible. Alex, I'm so sorry. I never wanted any of this. Alex turned to her, his eyes hardened with pain and betrayal. Sorry isn't enough, Serena. You let them into our lives, into our home. Serena choked back a sob, tears streaming down her face. I know, Alex. I know. I messed up, but please. Alex shook his head, his voice trembling with emotion. I don't know if I can forgive you for this, Serena. I don't know if I can ever trust you again. The night stretched on, filled with unanswered questions and shattered dreams as Serena and Alex grappled with the aftermath of their humiliation and the uncertain future that lay ahead. The days passed in a blur of media scrutiny and whispered gossip. As Serena navigated the fallout from her betrayal, the once vibrant city seemed to shrink around her, suffocating her with reminders of what she had lost. Serena sat alone in the apartment she had shared with Alex. The silence was oppressive as she stared at the empty space where their shared dreams had once thrived. Her phone buzzed intermittently with messages of sympathy and condemnation, each notification a dagger in her already wounded heart. Serena's father entered the room cautiously, his face etched with concern and disappointment. Serena, sweetheart, have you eaten anything today? Serena blinked back tears, her voice hollow as she shook her head. No, Dad. I'm not hungry. Her father sighed heavily, sitting beside her on the couch and placing a comforting hand on her shoulder. I know this is hard, Serena. We all make mistakes, but it's how we move forward that defines us. Serena swallowed hard, the weight of her actions pressing down on her chest like a heavy stone. I never meant to hurt him, Dad. I never thought. Her father pulled her into a gentle embrace, his voice soothing. I know, Serena. I know. Meanwhile, across town, Alex stood in his lawyer's office. His expression was hardened with resolve as he signed the paperwork to reclaim the gifts he had bestowed upon Serena during their engagement. The luxurious car, the extravagant jewelry, even the apartment lease. All were now being reclaimed, leaving Serena financially vulnerable and emotionally devastated. Mr. Anderson, once these documents are signed, we'll begin the process of reclaiming the assets. It's a straightforward case given the circumstances, the lawyer explained. Alex nodded curtly, his jaw clenched with bitterness and pain. Do whatever it takes. I want everything back. Understood. I'll take care of it. Back at Serena's apartment, her phone rang shrilly, startling her out of her thoughts. She wiped away tears before answering, her voice strained. Hello, Alex's lawyer, Miss Thompson? This is James Reynolds, representing Mr. Anderson. I'm calling to inform you that we'll be retrieving the gifts and assets he provided during your engagement. Serena's breath caught in her throat, her heart sinking further as reality set in. I understand. Alex's lawyer replied, please ensure all items are accessible for retrieval within the next few days. Thank you. The line went dead, leaving Serena clutching her phone tightly. Her world was crumbling around her as she faced the harsh reality of losing not just her relationship with Alex, but also her stability and security. Days turned into weeks as Serena packed away the remnants of her life with Alex. Each item was a painful reminder of what could have been. The apartment felt emptier with every box filled, the silence deafening without Alex's laughter and presence. Serena's mother hovered nearby, her eyes filled with unshed tears as she helped Serena sort through their belongings. Sweetheart, are you going to be okay? Serena forced a small smile, her voice barely above a whisper. I don't know, Mom. I just don't know. In a lawyer's office across town, Alex reviewed the finalized paperwork. His hands trembled with a mix of anger and sorrow. The once promising future he had envisioned with Serena now lay in ruins, shattered by betrayal and deceit. Alex's lawyer placed a comforting hand on his shoulder. Mr. Anderson, I know this isn't easy, but you're doing what's best for yourself. Alex nodded stiffly, his jaw set in determination. I have to move on, John. There's nothing left here for me. Weeks later, Serena stood alone in the now empty apartment. The echo of her footsteps was a haunting reminder of her solitude. She gazed out at the city skyline, the sun setting on another day of uncertainty and heartache. Serena's father entered quietly behind her, his presence a reassuring anchor amidst the storm of emotions swirling within her. Serena, sweetheart, it's time to come home. Serena turned to him, tears streaming down her face as she nodded silently. Together, they left the apartment behind, leaving behind the shattered pieces of a life that once held so much promise. Serena sat at her childhood home, her gaze fixed on the rain-streaked window as she wrestled with the whirlwind of emotions swirling within her. Shame, guilt, and remorse gnawed at her insides, each thought a painful reminder of the devastation she had caused. Her mother sat beside her, a comforting presence amidst the storm of Serena's emotions. Sweetheart, it's going to be okay. We'll get through this together. Serena shook her head, tears brimming in her eyes. Mom, I can't believe I did this. I've ruined everything. Her mother reached out gently, squeezing her hand. We all make mistakes, Serena. What matters now is how you move forward. Meanwhile, across town, Alex leaned against the railing of his apartment balcony. The city lights blurred through a haze of tears and unanswered questions. Betrayal and heartbreak weighed heavy on his shoulders, each breath a struggle against the ache of shattered trust. Michael stood by his side, silent solidarity in the face of Alex's pain. I can't imagine what you're going through, man, but you're not alone, Alex nodded, his voice raw with emotion. She was everything to me, Michael. How could she do this? Michael placed a hand on his friend's shoulder, his voice steady with empathy. Sometimes people make choices that we can't understand, but you're strong, Alex. You'll get through this. Days turned into weeks as Serena navigated the aftermath of her betrayal, seeking solace in the support of friends who remained conflicted about her actions. Conversations were strained, sympathy tinged with judgment, as they struggled to reconcile the Serena they knew with the one who had caused such pain. Serena met her best friend, Emily, for coffee one afternoon. The atmosphere was heavy with unspoken words and lingering tension. "Serena, I want to understand, but I can't wrap my head around what happened," Emily said, stirring her coffee absent-mindedly. Serena looked down at her hands, her voice barely above a whisper. "I know, Emily. I don't understand it myself. It's like I lost control." Emily reached across the table, grasping Serena's hand in a gesture of tentative support. "I'm here for you, Serena, but you have to help me understand." Serena nodded, tears welling up once more. "I wish I could give you answers, Emily. I wish I could take it all back." Across town, Alex found himself drawn to his parents' home more often than not, seeking refuge in the familiar comfort of family amidst the turmoil of his emotions. His mother sat beside him on the couch one evening, a comforting presence as he struggled to make sense of the shattered pieces of his life. "Alex, sweetheart, I hate seeing you like this," his mother said softly. Alex clenched his fists, his voice tinged with bitterness. "I thought she loved me, Mom. I thought we had something real." His father entered the room quietly, his expression a mirror of concern and disappointment. "Son, sometimes people change. Sometimes we don't see the truth until it's too late," he said gently. Alex shook his head, his throat tight with unshed tears. "I trusted her, Dad. I trusted her with everything." As weeks turned into months, Serena and Alex both sought counseling to navigate the emotional turmoil and heal from the wounds of betrayal. Serena's sessions were filled with tearful confessions and painful revelations, while Alex focused on rebuilding trust and finding closure. Serena's therapist, Dr. Johnson, listened patiently as she poured out her heart, grappling with the shame and guilt that consumed her every waking moment. "I never meant to hurt him, Dr. Johnson. I never thought I was capable of this." Serena's voice trembled. "I never meant to hurt him, Dr. Johnson. I never thought I was capable of this." Dr. Johnson nodded empathetically, her gentle voice a beacon of understanding. "Serena, we all have moments of weakness. It's how we learn and grow from them that defines us." Meanwhile, Alex's counselor, Dr. Patel, guided him through the labyrinth of emotions that threatened to overwhelm him. Dr. Patel reassuredly said, "Alex, healing takes time. Allow yourself to grieve for what you've lost, but remember that you are not defined by this betrayal." Alex nodded solemnly, his gaze focused on the path to forgiveness and healing that lay ahead. "I want to move forward, Dr. Patel. I want to find peace." Months passed, and with the support of therapy and loved ones, Serena and Alex began to find their footing once more. The wounds of betrayal remained, scars etched into their hearts, but they found strength in the resilience of their spirits and the hope of a brighter future. Serena sat in her therapist's office one afternoon, a faint smile playing on her lips as she reflected on the journey of self-discovery and redemption she had embarked upon. Serena, voice filled with determination, said, "I'm ready to rebuild my life, Dr. Johnson. I'm ready to make amends and find forgiveness." Across town, Alex stood on his apartment balcony once more, the city lights twinkling with the promise of a new beginning. His heart still carried the ache of betrayal, but with each passing day, it grew lighter with the healing power of time and self-reflection. Alex whispered to himself, "I will heal. I will move forward." Time passed slowly for Serena, each day marked by introspection and a deepening awareness of the consequences of her actions. The once bustling city now seemed muted, its vibrant streets a backdrop to her inner turmoil and quest for redemption. Serena sat alone in her childhood bedroom, surrounded by the familiar comforts of home, yet feeling adrift in a sea of regret and uncertainty. The photo albums on her desk beckoned memories of happier times that now seemed distant and unreal. Serena's father entered quietly, his gaze filled with a mixture of concern and compassion as he approached her. "Serena, sweetheart, are you okay?" Serena sighed heavily, her voice tinged with sadness. "Dad, I don't know how I let it come to this. I hurt Alex so much." Her father sat beside her, placing a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "We all make mistakes, Serena. What matters now is how you move forward." Meanwhile, across town, Alex focused on rebuilding his life. Each day a deliberate step towards healing and closure. His apartment felt emptier without Serena's presence, yet the weight of betrayal had lifted, replaced by a newfound sense of freedom and resolve. Michael stopped by one evening, a six-pack of beer in hand, as he settled onto the couch beside Alex. "Hey man, how are you holding up?" Alex nodded, his expression calm yet guarded. "I'm getting there, Michael. It's not easy, but I'm taking it day by day." Michael opened a beer and handed it to Alex, his tone gentle. "Have you heard from Serena lately?" Alex shook his head, his voice tinged with resignation. "No, and I don't expect to. We've both got to move on." Days turned into weeks as Serena wrestled with guilt and remorse, seeking solace in the support of her friends and family, who remained cautiously hopeful for her redemption. Emily visited one afternoon, her eyes filled with sympathy as she sat beside Serena on the couch. "Serena, I've been worried about you. How are you holding up?" Serena bit her lip, tears welling up once more as she met Emily's concerned gaze. I'm trying to make things right, but I don't know where to start." Emily reached out, squeezing Serena's hand gently. "Maybe you should reach out to Alex, apologize, explain how you feel." Serena nodded slowly, her voice barely above a whisper. "I should. I owe him that much." That evening, Serena sat at her desk, a blank sheet of paper before her and a pen in hand. She took a deep breath, her heart pounding with anticipation and fear as she began to write. "Dear Alex, I don't expect forgiveness, but I need to say this. I'm so sorry for what I did to you. I betrayed your trust and hurt you in ways I can never undo. I've spent every day since then regretting my choices, wishing I could go back and make things right. I don't expect you to forgive me, but I hope someday you can find it in your heart to understand that I'm truly sorry. Yours sincerely, Serena." Across town, Alex sat at his kitchen table, a cup of coffee growing cold beside him as he stared out at the city lights below. His phone buzzed softly, interrupting his thoughts. Alex picked it up, his heart skipping a beat as he saw Serena's name on the screen. He hesitated for a moment before answering, his voice guarded yet curious. "Hello, Serena." Voice trembling with emotion, she replied, "Alex, it's me. I wrote you a letter. I needed to apologize." Alex closed his eyes, a flood of emotions washing over him at the sound of her voice. "Serena," she interrupted quickly, desperation evident in her tone. "Please, Alex, I know I don't deserve forgiveness, but I need you to know how sorry I am." Silence hung heavy between them, the weight of their shared history and shattered dreams echoing through the phone line. Alex sighed heavily, his voice softening with resignation. "Serena, I appreciate your apology, but I need to move on, for my sake and yours." Serena's breath caught in her throat, tears flowing freely now as she struggled to find words. "I understand, Alex. Thank you for listening." With a heavy heart, Alex hung up the phone, his hands trembling with a mix of relief and sorrow. He knew it was the right decision, yet the ache of lost love lingered like a shadow over his heart. Serena sat alone in her room, clutching the letter tightly to her chest as she wept for the love she had lost and the pain she had caused. She knew forgiveness might never come, but she had taken the first step towards redemption, one heartfelt apology at a time. Months passed, and Serena found herself on a journey of self-discovery and redemption. The scars of her betrayal still lingered, but she was determined to rebuild her life with newfound wisdom and humility. Serena sat in a cozy cafe, sipping her coffee slowly as she reflected on the changes in her life. The therapy sessions had helped, providing a safe space to confront her mistakes and learn from them. Now, she was taking small steps towards making amends. Emily joined her, a warm smile on her face as she settled into the chair opposite Serena. "Serena, it's good to see you smiling again. How are you feeling?" Serena returned the smile tentatively, her gaze softening with gratitude. "I'm getting there. It's been a journey, but I'm starting to find peace." Emily nodded, her voice filled with encouragement. "You've come a long way, Serena. I'm proud of you." Meanwhile, Alex had found solace and happiness in a new relationship, grateful for the lessons learned from his tumultuous experience with Serena. His girlfriend, Lisa, brought a sense of stability and understanding into his life, filling the void left by Serena's betrayal. Alex and Lisa walked hand in hand through the park one sunny afternoon, their laughter mingling with the rustle of leaves overhead. Alex felt a weight lift from his shoulders, a sense of contentment settling into his heart. Lisa smiled up at him, her eyes full of affection. "Alex, I'm glad we found each other. You deserve happiness." Alex squeezed her hand gently, his voice filled with gratitude. "Thank you, Lisa. You've been amazing through all of this." Back at Serena's apartment, she sorted through boxes of belongings, preparing to move forward with her life. Each item held memories, some painful, others bittersweet, but all were a reminder of the journey she had traveled. Serena's father entered the room, a supportive presence as he helped her pack. "Serena, sweetheart, how are you feeling about everything?" Serena paused, setting down a framed photo of her and Alex from happier times. She sighed softly, her voice tinged with nostalgia. "Dad, it's been hard, but I'm learning to forgive myself." Her father smiled warmly, placing a comforting hand on her shoulder. "That's the first step, Serena. You're stronger than you know." As Serena continued her journey of self-discovery, she sought forgiveness from those she had hurt, including her friends and family who had been caught in the fallout of her betrayal. Serena met with Emily and other close friends one evening, the atmosphere filled with tentative reconciliation and heartfelt apologies. Emily, reaching out to Serena with a smile, said, "Serena, we've missed you. It's good to have you back." Serena nodded, tears glistening in her eyes as she met their forgiving gazes. "I'm sorry for what I put you all through. I hope you can forgive me." Her friends exchanged looks of understanding, their voices filled with empathy. "Serena, we understand. We're here for you." Across town, Alex and Lisa enjoyed a quiet evening together at home. Their bond grew stronger with each passing day. Alex had found a sense of peace and closure, grateful for the second chance at happiness that Lisa had brought into his life. Lisa, curling up beside Alex on the couch, said, "Alex, I'm glad we met. You've been through so much, and yet you're so resilient." Alex smiled warmly, placing a kiss on her forehead. "I wouldn't be here without you, Lisa. Thank you for everything." Months turned into a year, and Serena had made significant strides towards rebuilding her life. She had found a new job she loved and had moved into a new apartment, leaving behind the shadows of her past. One sunny afternoon, Serena sat at her desk in her new office, a sense of accomplishment filling her heart. She glanced at a photo of her family and friends on her desk, a reminder of the support that had helped her through the darkest moments. Serena's phone buzzed softly, a message from her father. She smiled as she read it. "Dad, Serena, we're so proud of you. Keep moving forward. We love you." Across town, Alex and Lisa celebrated their anniversary with a romantic dinner at their favorite restaurant. The candlelight flickered softly, casting a warm glow over their faces as they toasted to the future. Alex raised his glass, his eyes meeting Lisa's with love and gratitude. "To us, and to new beginnings." Lisa clinked her glass against his, her smile radiant. "To us, Alex. I'm so glad we found each other." Months had turned into a year since Serena's life had been turned upside down by her own choices. She had moved through stages of grief, guilt, and ultimately acceptance, finding solace in the support of loved ones and the journey of self-discovery. Serena sat in her favorite spot at the local park, the sun warm on her face as she reflected on the tumultuous year that had passed. The scars of betrayal still lingered, but they no longer defined her. She had grown stronger, wiser, and more compassionate in the face of adversity. Her phone buzzed softly in her pocket, a message from Emily lighting up the screen. "Emily, Serena, are you free for lunch today? I'd love to catch up." Serena smiled warmly, typing a quick reply. "Serena, of course, I'd love that. See you soon." Meanwhile, Alex had found closure in his own way, embracing the healing power of time and forgiveness. His relationship with Lisa had blossomed into a deep bond built on trust and mutual respect, offering him the stability and happiness he had yearned for. Alex and Lisa strolled through the city streets, hand in hand, laughter and conversation flowing effortlessly between them. The past year had been a journey of self-discovery for Alex, each step forward a testament to his resilience and capacity for growth. Lisa squeezed his hand gently, her eyes full of admiration. "Alex, I'm so proud of how far you've come." Alex smiled warmly, his heart light with gratitude. "I couldn't have done it without you, Lisa. You've been my rock." Back at the park, Serena met Emily at their favorite cafe, the air filled with the warmth of friendship and the promise of renewed connection. Emily hugged Serena tightly, her eyes filled with genuine affection. "Serena, it's so good to see you." Serena returned the hug warmly, feeling a sense of peace settled over her. "Emily, thank you for sticking by me through everything. I don't know where I'd be without you." Emily smiled reassuringly, taking a seat across from Serena. "You're stronger than you know, Serena. I'm just glad to see you smiling again." Over lunch, Serena shared stories of her journey towards self-forgiveness and personal growth, the highs and lows of rebuilding her life. Life after the fallout of her betrayal. Emily listened intently, her support unwavering as Serena spoke from the heart. "It hasn't been easy, but I've learned so much about myself in the process." Emily nodded empathetically, her voice filled with understanding. "You've come a long way, Serena. I'm proud of you." As Serena found closure and resolution in her journey, Alex too had embraced a new chapter in his life. He had confronted his emotions of betrayal and heartbreak, finding peace in the forgiveness he had granted himself and in the love he shared with Lisa. One evening, Alex sat on his balcony with Lisa by his side, the city lights shimmering below as they enjoyed a quiet moment together. Lisa leaned against him, her voice soft with affection. "Alex, do you ever think about what could have been?" Alex sighed contentedly, wrapping an arm around her shoulders. "Sometimes, but I've come to realize that everything happens for a reason. I wouldn't be here with you if it hadn't." As the sun set on another day, Serena stood on the balcony of her new apartment, a sense of peace washing over her. She had found closure and resolution in her own journey, recognizing the transformative power of forgiveness and personal growth. Serena closed her eyes, feeling a gentle breeze brush against her skin. She whispered softly to herself a mantra of hope and gratitude. "Serena, I forgive myself. I embrace my journey." In their separate paths towards healing and renewal, Serena and Alex had found closure and resolution, though forever changed by their shared experience. They had each embraced a new chapter in their lives with courage and grace. The story concluded with a sense of hope and redemption, a testament to the resilience of the human spirit and the transformative power of forgiveness.